Well, we've accepted this preposterous hypothesis that your identity is only subjectively defined. And as I've tried to point out on some of my lectures, the only people who think their identity is subjectively defined are 2-year-olds. That doesn't happen until you're 3. And what happens when you're 3, if you're reasonably well socialized or start to move towards that, is that you learn how to negotiate a social identity. And then identity becomes, obviously it has some roots in your subjectivity and in your biology for that matter, but a sophisticated identity is not only socially negotiated, as the constructivists know perfectly well, but it's got a dynamism about it because it has to be constantly renegotiated. Like, as we're having a conversation here, to some degree, we're renegotiating our mutual identities because we learn something from each other, and so we transform. We're also trying to figure out, to some degree, who each of us is in this situation, and then we're also trying to learn, can we play together towards some productive end? And you might ask, well, what do you mean play? And say, well, we're trying to have an interesting conversation. That's a form of play. And if you won't negotiate, and I won't negotiate, how in the world are we going to have a conversation?
Well, this is the whole problem with the transgender debate, particularly in things like sport, is that there's simply no willingness on the part of the transgender part of this debate to have any conversation about potential unfairness
we talked
created by what's happening. And I say, you've got to have the conversation.